So I will present you in a few words our main innovative framework for our startups, for our young innovative companies, because this is also our main purpose of work, and we are the public financial institution for the support of SMEs, and among these products we also have a lot of special products specialized for young companies, for startups, and this is quite important for our future, of course, in all EU member countries. And 80% of all our support comes from European Commission. That means the money comes from the European Commission. Therefore, we of course have to have our programs in line with EU guidelines. And therefore, I have to tell a few words also about the European Commission guidelines according to startup policy. Well, startups support, the support of young innovative companies is also very important for the European Commission, especially because there is still a gap between a demand of financial resources from the startups, and on the other side also the gap between the supply of these financial sources from the investors. And in order to pass through this gap and to stimulate the creation of new jobs, the European Commission wants to support this kind of sector, this kind of entrepreneurial sector, startups, young innovative people with different financial incentives. And the last program to support this kind of activities is also Juncker Investment Plan, which includes many opportunities also for young innovative companies. And this investment plan is focused only on removing obstacles for investments and also to providing visibility and technical assistance to investment projects. At least 15 billion euro are made available to the projects in the next few years, and these projects has to be done by the SMEs and mid-caps via the SME window, provided through the financial intermediaries like banks and venture capital funds, also some funds of business angels. And this window is coordinated through EIF, European Investment Fund, and implemented by the national promotional institution, like we are, for example. And 5 billion euro of direct public financial resources will be available for SMEs in the next few years. And with this money, the companies, the SME companies and mid-caps would be able to create more than 75 billion euro of different investments in all 28 EU member states. And Slovenian Enterprise Fund is, as I already said, also the one of this national promotion institution. We are here for our startups, for SME startups, and we have already started with the COSME program, which is also the part of Juncker Investment Plan, and this presents the guarantee support for the bank loans. So we offer guarantees and we subsidize interest rate of these bank loans, and these bank loans can be used by the SMEs and also by the startups and young companies, because we try to find the partnership with the banks, and we try to attract the banks also to invest in this young entrepreneurship sector. And the whole program, this guarantee program for the Slovenia, is worth 180 million euro, and around 40 million euro of this money have to go into the SME or into the startup companies. This is the support on the guarantee side, but within this framework of this Juncker Investment Plan, there is also the support for the venture capital, seed and venture capital. And according in the frame of this plan, we will be able also to offer the special startups incentives. For this year, the amount of these incentives are around 2 million euro. This is the really startup money for this first phase, for the establishment and for the development of the project or the service of this very startup company. And in the next phase, in the second development phase, which presents the entry to the market, We will offer to our companies also this year the seed capital in total amount of 2.5 million euro, and we will do it together with the business angels and other private investors. For the third phase, that means the phase of global growth, where the needs for investments are higher and also the companies needs higher support. We will do it through the venture capital, together with the private venture funds. And the European Commission wants that this won't be only the national venture funds, but the venture fund which will be organized for the whole Central European region. That means for the Slovenia, Croatia, Italy, Austria, Czech Republic, Hungary. And this region is quite similar according to this venture capital development. And our companies would have in next 3-4 years really the possibility to get the professional venture capital too for their global growth. So this is the support according to all EU guidelines, and we are very pleased to be the part of this support too. And I believe that our companies really these days have quite appropriate environment, appropriate financial support, but not only the financial support. We are connecting this financial support with the mentoring programs, with the coaching programs, together with our partners in the startup ecosystem. That means together with the technological parks, incubators, faculties, and all other partners in this environment, also with the startup mentors, and these mentors present really big help to our new startups and companies. But now I would like to present also the few figures about 10 years of support of startups, because this year is really, it presents a milestone for our support, because we started 10 years ago with the startup support, and this period of time we supported more than 600 startups with 45 million euro. At the beginning, this support was really the support with startup money, with the startup grants, but then we developed also other financial products like seed capital together with the business angels, and also venture capital together with the venture capital funds. And all together in these last 10 years we invested in our startups, as I said, 45 million euro. And with this support, these companies generated more than 75 million euro of new investments. And 15 million euro were from the venture funds, and 2 million euro also from the business angels. And this is for our environment very important, because before that support we didn't have any private investors for this kind of startups, for this kind of companies. But now with this support we attract also private investors to come and to see some opportunities in our startups too, and that's why we are satisfied with these results. And all other results are also very good. The survival rate is 87%, which is very high for startup sector. That means that 540 companies are still growing and developing. They created in that time more than 1,000 new jobs with the higher value added. That means very qualified new jobs. And already with the very quick calculation, we calculated that these companies already now in these first years of establishment repay in our tax budget around the same amount of money that was invested in them. 43 million euro of different taxes were already paid by these companies to state budgets. So this help is very useful. And of course, we have to face that these companies are still growing. Some of them are only 1 or 2 years old. So the real results will already come. They increase the income. You can see here some figures. The average income per company is around 230,000 euro, but the maximum profit, the maximum income created by one of these companies was 13.5 million euro. They also create profits, what is also good. The average profit per company is 32,000 euro, but the maximum amount was also 5.7 million euro. But what is also the most important, the average value added per employee is 44,000 euro per employee, and this is higher than the average of value added created in Slovenian SMEs, and also the average of created value added by on the EU level. So it really shows that these new jobs are higher value added jobs. And also this year, as I already said, still our startups still have the possibility to apply for different kinds of support, also for really this startup or seed, pre-seed phases, and also for their global growth. And I believe, according to all these results, our government will support startup programs in the future too, and I'm sure we will be able to hear a new successful story in the future too. So thank you for this by now.
My name is Rumen. Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm co-managing LAUNCHub. We're a small venture firm. We're based in Sofia. And since I realized just yesterday that I need to do a presentation with few slides, I just assembled a few colorful slides here that I think you'll like. Well, venture fund in Sofia, in Bulgaria, I think it's something which is a bit exotic. And as one of our LPs said, well, you need about 10 million to educate a fund manager. And I think we are one of the few fund managers in this region, in the Balkans in general. Slovenia in this respect have a bit longer tradition, and that's very nice. So I really enjoy coming here. I'm very grateful and thankful to the organizers of PODIM for having me here. It's, I think, my probably third consecutive year. But okay, let me tell you what LAUNCHub is. Venture fund, it's in general not so different than a startup, in a sense that a venture fund can fail many times with their investments, and they need to be right only once to be successful. The same is with the startups. They fail many times, but if they're right only once, they can be successful. So there are a lot of similarities. LAUNCHub, in respect, is a startup. It's a venture fund that started 2012, and it requires a lot of time to learn the dynamics of this business. And we have been in this business only for like 5 years. So don't expect any big insight from myself coming on this stage. I provide mentorship to our startups, we all do. They rarely listen, and that's all right. But what I'm going to share here are just a few numbers that will give you an overview of what LAUNCHub has done in the past 5 years, since we started investing in 2012. It's a small fund, so we invested a little bit more than 8 million. In startups from Southeast Europe, which means from Slovenia to Ukraine, more or less. We have a lot of exceptions coming from Western Europe, but this is not our target region. So we have invested 8.2. The startup so far has attracted a little bit more than 13 million. Our average investment size has been around 125,000 euro per team. And so far, the average co-investment the teams from our portfolio have received is about 500,000. Right, these are the statistics. You can see some of the areas we have been active in. We don't have particular vertical because, as for a regional fund, we think the verticals are just shallow. There are not enough startups from particular kind to specialize. All right, so moving on, as I said, we've been in Slovenia for some time. We have 7 investments here. We are extremely proud of our investments and also extremely proud of our Slovenian teams. You may know some of them. They're in different fields. Some of them are in health tech, in medical. Some of them are in Internet of Things. The other are in cryptocurrencies. In general, my perception of Slovenia is that this is an extremely entrepreneurial nation. And one of the benefits you have is the size, because a small size gives you the advantage that people always think for export. They don't think about conquering the local market. It's in general too small, and this mindset is very important for the entrepreneurs. That's why I think we have made so many deals in Slovenia, and I hope that we'll continue doing deals here. I would like to say that as an early stage fund, we could have done a great job without money flowing into those stars from other investors. Some of them are here, and I'm proud to say that we have co-invested, or the companies actually have received follow-on investment from some of the most reputable funds in Europe. Some of them are here, and I think they're also doing a great job, so it's good to mention them. Maybe last thing about us is that from 2016, of course, we aim to continue investing, this time changing the fund a bit in attracting more capital, attracting also more private capital, and investing tickets, which will be, well, our sweet spot will be $500,000, and we will have the capacity to follow on Series A and Series B. So that's it as introduction from myself, and I'll join you then here.
So let's have a quick chat now about this. Thanks a lot, Maja and Rumen, for the presentations. And we don't have much time, but I'd like to start with one question. And by the way, guys, if you have questions, use the app, and then we can take the pick on the brains of Maja and Rumen. So my first question, and maybe it is the one we can talk about, is the lessons learned from this experience of public and private collaborations, because I was amazed with the survival rates of the companies. I think this is unique. I mean, if you take the normal survival rates of startups, or let's say that's 10% or less, look at 87% is amazing. So how, some of the lessons learned for you guys that been working with this, how this collaboration has improved the survival rates, how can you bring these lessons learned?
Should I start? Me or you? Okay.
Okay, let's start.
I'll start then. Well, our perspective, like how our LP or the people who gave us money are European investment funds, all right? There are money coming from public sources in general. There's a European money. The way we look at investing European money, it's not different than any other venture fund investing private money.
Right.
And this has been our motto from the beginning, which means maybe this is why I didn't present you with any metrics about employment and survival rate, because this, from our perspective, a fund manager doesn't really matter. We, as a fund manager, function on a commercial basis, which means we are rewarded only when the startups are successful and we have successful exits. We return the fund and we make profit after that. So, of course, the public sources have their second agenda, which is developing entrepreneurial ecosystem, developing the whole environment of startups and building small and medium-sized enterprises. And since I used to have the slides, you can see that in Forbes, they mentioned Sofia now is one of the top cities to have your startup started, which is quite surprising. I think that a few years ago this wasn't like this. Or you can see that other articles tell that this country is a hidden treasure for startups and so on. And I tend to believe that funds like LAUNCHub, like 11, like three matching mechanisms that we have in Bulgaria, catalyze this, although they function as private investors, actually, with public money.
Right. Maja.
Yes. For us, as we see this, there is still the problem between investors, especially private investors, and SME, especially if you're talking about the startup, this gap. But this gap presents more or less informational gap. That means that usually investors don't have enough information about the project of startups, maybe also enough knowledge about it. And on the other hand, the startups or the young companies just don't give them the right information, trusted, reliable information that the investor really believe in this kind of project and so on. So we think the winning situation here, or how to improve this, is also that the institution like we are the public one. Of course, we have to create, we have to show that there are some more macroeconomic impact of all this support, of course. And we can also be a mediator between investors and these startups, just to organize networking, to show to each other to prepare some workshops, and of course to be also the partner in the risk, a risk taker, for example. And maybe before we started with all this support, no one of private investors wasn't here, because nothing is going on that wasn't going on this level, and therefore we also started with this attraction, with this development of the market for private investors, and maybe also for the LAUNCHub. Now it's easier to invest in one company where the Slovenian enterprise is already in, and we already
have two, I think. Together.
Yeah, we have two now of them. We already took one of the risk, and we can be a partner. We can exchange some information, and it's better and better. So I think this is why it's so important to be the partners.
Oh, absolutely, and I see that the regions somehow talking about European regions, they have a lot of resources already, but they just don't know how to collaborate. In this case, you have a channel, you have a fund. I saw that when I did Startup Europe Week. We're just trying to collaborate. And this is the second, maybe the last point for us to comment quickly, is how the regions, or like the Alps-Adriatic, can stimulate this type of partnerships. And even not necessarily having a fund, or maybe channeling through the fund, how can the local regions like Maribor can stimulate this type of partnerships?
Well, I will say here that all these successful stories or whatever we are doing in our environment, you cannot do it by yourself. You need partners, a lot of partners from the university, from the faculties, technological parks, incubators. And we really, in Slovenia, just in last 5 years, we really try to create a good partnership among all these partners. Very honest partnership. That means that each of us takes some part, and without each other, we couldn't do what we done these few years. So this is very important to really have that everybody has the same goal to do something really good for the whole environment. I think this is the most important to be the real and good partner and to trust with
not competing, right?
Not
but
competing.
Really collaborating, because this is something that I see all the time.
Yeah.
Regions competing, and even partners in some cities, like small cities,
fighting
competing
for your own garden.
Right.
No, you cannot.
I mean,
you cannot.
We should not replicate the wheel. We should collaborate, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what has happened in our region is that this entrepreneurship ecosystem has gone a long way since, if I look back at 2011 or 2012, even angel investments were exotic, and now we have more than 40 angels as co-investors from different countries. So it makes it easy for them when the ecosystem develops, the co-working spaces, the accelerator, the incubators, and of course the government support. This is what is necessary, and I think it's also a matter of mindset maybe for Europe and the government institution to look in this in the broader perspective, because at the end of the day, Silicon Valley not because they care about employment or they care about investing only in Silicon Valley startups. You know, it doesn't work like this. You actually create the most fruitful environment where all the capital will flow, and of course where all the startups and all the entrepreneurs from all the countries in the world would like to come to your region. And you don't do this by restricting or putting a restriction on the capital or an investment or whatever. You just try to create environment, as Maja said. Right. So I totally
treat this, and I think we have a big opportunity in Europe, and then there's the last comment actually that you could give me. I think the powerhouse of Europe is to treat Europe as a big federation, and I think which role do you think, maybe you, Maja, you're working directly with the European Commission and the European funds. How do you see the role of Europe as an institution of the European Commission, or as an institution in stimulating these regions or this environment?
Yes, I think right in this what we are talking about, to create the partnership with the private investors, to show to each other that the goal is the same, to have a very good environment for young, innovative people with new ideas, because this is the only way that we will catch up all other economies in the world. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I also totally agree with Maja on this point, because we've seen countries where, I don't know, European funds flew through government organization managed in their peculiar ways. And we have also seen the results in that. It's great that Europe as such have a plan, right? It has the resources, but again, if I make the parallel with the startups, having the plan... You
have to execute it.
Yeah, it's one thing, but executing it, and execution requires team of people executing it.
Absolutely.
And this is what I think they might want to take in consideration.
Yeah. Great. I'm sorry we're run out of time. Thank you very much, Maja Rumen.